Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Childcare Director's Chair, where Erica Sacoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey, welcome back to the Childcare Director's Chair, and I am extremely honored and humbled that you are here today. I know you have a lot of podcasts that you can pick from, so thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your day with me. So the last few episodes, we've really talked about the looming, crisis of childcare, the emotional toll that it takes on your mental health, the mental health of the children and your coworkers when you're short-staffed. We talked about a few solutions, but I don't think we really talked about what were the root causes of this staffing crisis. And it is all over the news, but I think, maybe we could talk about it with a different perspective. The early childhood education sector really just plays such an important part in our society. And you all know that because I'm preaching to the choir. And we know it has such joy when we do it, especially when we're doing it right. And for a long time, we were doing it right. And then, the last few years have come with really some huge challenges. And it isn't just the early childhood field. This is the education field across the board. You see it in the elementary school level. You see it in the high school level. You see it at the college level. Teachers are leaving in droves. And it's sad because most of us in this field absolutely love it with all of our heart. And of course, then, the media loves to replay this over and over and over again. So it really just nails and drives it home when you hear about the shortage all the time. It really can be depressing and sad and make you feel like a little bit out of control of the situation. And although we don't have control over the larger picture, you certainly have some control over what happens in your 4 walls of your program, or 8 walls or 25 walls, depending on how many locations you have. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about those challenges, from teacher wages to lack of professional development opportunities, and then, of course, the ever-present issue of burnout. Our educators face so many hurdles, and they need to be addressed. So today's podcast, we're going to dig in. So let's start with teacher wages and recognizing the value of education. One of the most pressing challenges in the education sector is the issue of teacher wages. Despite how important teachers are for our future, for our youth, many teachers still struggle with low salaries, and they fail to reflect on the importance of their work. And this not only affects their motivation and job satisfaction, but it also hampers the recruitment and retention of quality educators. And so I know I have some teachers that, they have to have second jobs or have other ways to have additional income in their home. And, it's sad because they really do work hard. And so what can we do in our 4 walls and in our communities? So one way that we could maybe solve this challenge is really important to make sure that the policymakers and educational institutions recognize the value of education and invest in teachers who make it happen. And this can be achieved through increased funding for education, whether it's early childhood education, or public school or charter schools. We really all need to raise our voices together, and we need to really make sure that some of that funding is allocated towards improving teacher salaries. You cannot run a school without the teachers. We do have to provide not only competitive wages, because I feel like some programs really have made every effort to kind of step up in that area, but also what do the benefit packages look like? And I think that could also be a determining factor on how a teacher values their entire package. And this could be additional PTO time, vacation time, reduced childcare or free childcare, not only providing insurance, but, making it low cost. 401ks, I know that that's something that a lot of the folks in the private programs have talked about, not having 401ks or not having matching 401ks, not having representation on a larger scale. So these are things that we really need to figure out how we're going to address it, because this is really one of the major roots of keeping those staff and attracting staff, talented individuals who are passionate about teaching and dedicated to their student success. So, wages is number one. And I know as a small business, putting my small business hat on, it is very difficult to make the numbers work right now. So what other things can we do to find more funding and more benefits? And maybe that might mean connecting with other small businesses to see what additional benefits you might be able to bring to your employees that doesn't cost you more money. Maybe it's, you do some type of a barter system. So think about what you can do. Sit down, that's your homework tonight. Make a list of what you offer now. What can you offer that will make somebody want to stay with your company or make them want to sign on with your company? And they have to be meaningful things and things that help them with their daily life. So again, childcare could be one, additional money for sure. Even additional, I know a lot of teachers, purchase things out of their pocket, even if it's an additional $200-$300 a month towards classroom supplies on top of what you're already purchasing. So all these things really matter. And really, I think, when you articulate, here are the benefits, and you write them down and you make them as part of the package, it really does help build up the value of working for your program. The second thing is I feel like there is the lack of professional development opportunities. Educators, they don't have the professional development opportunities that help them continue to grow. And continuous learning is so important for teachers to stay updated with the latest technology methods, definitely new teaching methods, especially as children have come in with several more behavioral challenges, to put it mildly, different subject knowledge as standards change. I know in our state, they just redid the Rhode Island Early Learning Standards over the last year and a half. So if you took your RILES, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you would need to update that. But I think probably specifically around challenging behaviors, do everything you can to bring in additional resources, making sure that your teachers have access to workshops that matter, conferences with, larger mixture, so that it's not just the same teachers in your program, going to these workshops, but other programs where people can really brainstorm. And then, even national conferences are really nice to send your staff if you can figure out a way to do that. And it really does help them feel like the professionals that they are. And then providing training programs, because a lot of times that's where it hinders their professional growth, is they don't feel like they're able to move forward. And if you're a teacher in a classroom and you've been teaching in the same classroom for 5-6 years, it's really easy to get, feeling like a little bit stagnant and like asking yourself, like, is this it for me? And, as human beings, we want to grow. So it's really important that we're addressing this. So to address the challenge, programs have to make sure that they prioritize and invest in professional development for their teachers. This can be done through partnerships with organizations that specialize in teacher training, creating in-house workshops and seminars, or providing financial support for educators to extend external conferences. I know I'm going to go to a few national conferences myself this year, and I actually am going to try to get on the speaking panel or present a workshop myself. And if you've been in the field a long time and you really feel like that might be a calling for you, maybe that's a great way to grow yourself as well, as to get out on a larger platform and share, what you know from the last 15, 20, 30 years that you have been in the field as a ECE leader. I think it's important that, we walk the walk. We want children to be excited about learning and becoming lifelong learners. Well, we have to do that too as educators as administrators. So empower your teachers to enhance their skills, leading to improved teaching practices and better student outcomes. And then the last, I would say, of the top three is burnout. Making sure that we are prioritizing teachers' well-being. Burnout is definitely a very big issue in the education field. Teachers are often feeling overwhelmed with heavy workloads, administrative tasks that seem like they never end, and the emotional demands of the profession. This not only affects their mental health and physical health, but also impacts their effectiveness in the classroom. And I'll share a story. I feel like it's important that we all stay true to ourselves and be humble. And I know many of you tune to this channel for some, guidance and some support and, just maybe sometimes just like hearing that you're not alone. So I'm going to share this with you. So Thursday this week, and it was a really tough week. I had many staff out for very valid reasons, but I had several staff out. And I was in the teacher room towards the end of the night. And I probably was on, in the last 2 weeks, probably on hour like 200. And I literally was sitting in the bathroom and I kind of propped my head against the wall and I had tears start to well up in my eyes. And I said, I am exhausted, just physically and mentally exhausted. And that's not great. Not great for my own well-being, but also as the leader of the program. If I'm exhausted and I am not, filling the cup, if you will, what does that mean for my team? And so I really had to say, I've got to change something. Something's got to change. And so now the next couple weeks, I'm going to really kind of sit down and figure out what things do we have to do right now to move forward. And I know a lot of those things, but it's very easy, like everyone else, to get pulled into the day-to-day of, putting out fires, if you will. Can happen to the best of us, the most educated of us, the most passionate of us, the most hardworking people who come in day after day after day. And I know the flip side of that is, go on vacation for 22 days and, hire somebody to take care of it. Listen, I don't think that's good being a good leader either. So I know the answer is somewhere in between. And so I know many of you are struggling with that. And I'm going to say the truth. Some days I struggle with it too. But most of the days I'm pretty positive, pretty optimistic, and feel pretty, confident that it's all under control. But there are just days that all of us have where, we feel a little exhausted. And that's okay too. So I want you to know that's okay too. Acknowledge that feeling and then figure out what's the plan to move forward. I did end up letting a teacher go this week, even though, we were tight on the schedules. Me and the other admin team have been covering week after week after week. And we said, you know what, if we're going to cover, then we're going to know that we're going to cover until we can get the right folks in the right spots. Because this continual call out every day, day after day after day in the same couple classrooms, really just became just too much. So, you've got to come up with a course of action, you and your team, and protect your own well-being. So that was a long way around of it, but it happens to the best of us. So we have to make sure that we're combating burnout. It's so important for us to prioritize teacher well-being, our self-well-being, put something in place to promote work-life balance, such as reducing administrative burdens, providing adequate planning time. And that's really been something that's been a challenge for many programs, because if you have so many call-outs, nobody's getting extra time out of the classroom for planning, as you would typically, right? You may have all these great things in place, but if there's not enough folks showing up to work, it's very hard to say, hey, take the rest of the half of the day off and go do your lesson planning time. It's really hard to do that because we all have to maintain those ratios and make sure our kids are safe. We have to foster a supportive and collaborative work environment. I did put out a few episodes on different things that you can do. I know we all discussed we're going to have a potluck next Friday. Well, I guess it will be this Friday now, but we're going to have a potluck, and we're going to also have Dress Down Day, collect some money for breast cancer awareness, and just feel like we're, part of something bigger. And that really is one way to help, keep you motivated. And I think too, thinking of things that, even though we're struggling right now, things that we could be struggling with. And I'm so, and being grateful for the things that we're not having to struggle with. And then also offering mental health resources and counseling for your teachers so that they can cope with the emotional challenges that they face daily. One of the things we did was we had a woman come in and do a mindful class for free for our staff. And she's running a 4-week program on self-care, self-love, just things that help teachers feel grounded and feel refreshed. So that's really important too. But we know it's more than a potluck, and we know it's more than a cup of tea and a couple breathing exercises. It is all those other things too. Feeling supported, making sure that they do get that adequate planning time, because it's very challenging when you go in a classroom and you don't have your materials prepped and your plan isn't in place, and you're kind of, I don't want to say winging it, but feel like you're in survival mode. And that's not a good place to be. So when you feel that way, recognize it and address it, and make sure that your team also is well taken care of. So moreover, I would say encouraging self-care practices and stress management techniques can empower teachers to take care of their own well-being as well. So you have a part in that as their administrator or the leader, but they have a part in it too. And by prioritizing teacher wellness, we can create a positive and sustainable environment that benefits both the educators and the students. So let me wrap it up to this nice little short episode. We need to address these challenges. We need to address the teachers' wages. We need to address the lack of professional development opportunities that are meaningful. Not another, how to make a sensory bin. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, they need something that is really going to help them move through the career lattice, move through different skill sets that they don't have now. Also being mindful that students have changed and the mindset has changed and parents have changed, and are our teachers equipped? Because even the best of us, the ones that have been around a very long time, have to adapt, and we have to, pivot and really address these changes in the world that we're living in. And while we do it, we have to make sure that the burnout, which is very real for the education sector, has a collaborative effort. And we have to work together with policymakers, other childcare centers, the Board of Education, and society as a whole. We need to recognize that the value of education and investing in professional growth and prioritizing teachers' well-being while we create a nurturing and supportive environment that enables our educators to thrive and ultimately enhances the quality of education for all. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning into the Childcare Director's Chair. If you liked today's episode, we ask that you leave us a review. If you're looking for some video content, we have some new videos up on our YouTube channel, same name, Childcare Director's Chair. And that's it. So I hope you have an amazing week and take care of yourself. Have a good day.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.